Hello, hello, and welcome to the first podcast episode of HR Hustle and Hijinks. Now, this podcast has been a bit of a labor of love, and it's something that I never thought I would do. And so, be gentle with me, be kind. But really, what I wanted to do was kind of give a bit of a basis of um, how Exhilarate started, how I started in business, and basically, as we kind of go through this podcast journey, we will have guests, we'll have people come on who have built incredible businesses themselves, but have stayed genuine and stayed true to themselves. That is one of my key things I absolutely adore. I love working with people who actually are genuine, authentic, and they've been able to build a business on being themselves and being able to do what they love to do. So recently, I decided that I was going to work on my own business and sort of create some values about what I'm about and what it means for me in my day to day and why I love working with people. Now, the problem with working in HR is that a lot of us aren't people, and that's because we get so fed up with the people being people. If you can find me an HR person that loves people, please tell them, intro me, please. Because what happens with a lot of people when we're in an HR seat in any corporate or in house is that you see the worst of people. People judge you for being HR, you can't do the right for wrong, you are trying to balance the employer and the employee, and on top of it all, you're usually a scapegoat for any bad decisions. And that has been probably my whole HR career until I started Exhilarate. I felt like I was a scapegoat for any bad decisions, rough decisions, tough decisions in the business. But anything that was good was not my idea, and it wasn't usually the thing that landed on my desk. And so when I talk about HR people not being people, is because we actually are usually used for diffusing situations, having challenging conversations, usually exiting people from the business. So we're usually always in a really crap situation because you never know if you're going to have to make somebody redundant the next day. You can't be too close to them, otherwise people then say you've got favourites. It's just really, really tough. And so when I started Exhilarate, I wanted it to be a business that was based on people being amazing and people just being great people. And very early on, when I started the business, I kind of decided that I didn't want to be an emergency hotline for people of, oh, this person's done this person's done that. I want to fire this person. I want to end this person's probation, because that kind of transactional work never interested me. What I love is making every decision that you make for your people come back to bottom line, and what does that mean commercially for your business. So kind of coming back and talking about what this podcast is going to do, I wanted this podcast also to be able to talk about people's journeys to being business owners, being business leaders. My story is probably not too dissimilar to a lot of people's. I had an HR director role. I was looking after a lot of people, and I got pregnant. When my son was 3 months old, I was still on maternity leave and I was planning to return, and I could just feel there was something weird going on. Anyway, the month after that, I got given a settlement agreement by my CEO, and for all intents and purposes, I lost my job. I was fired from my job, and it was done in a way that I felt was unnecessarily cruel at a particularly vulnerable point of my life. However, the best thing that ever happened to me, I say in hindsight, at the time I remember calling my husband, and I picked up the phone and was sobbing my eyes out in the middle of Wisley. I did have sunglasses on though, because fashion doesn't stop for any situation. And I had my sunglasses on. They were Gucci, by the way, if you wanted to know. And I was sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And Mark was like, "What are you doing? Like, this is the best thing ever. Stop crying. Come on, this is going to be great." And do you know what? I will say Mark's never steered me wrong. I will give the guy that. And it was a brutal time in my life, because work had meant everything to me. I can't I can't hide away from it anymore, and I'm going to front it and I'm going to be honest. The feeling that I get from work, from doing a good job, from getting praise from people I really respect, having people value my input, gives me a sense of purpose and self-worth that I don't get from anywhere else in my life. For me, my social aspect, my productivity, everything has always begun and ended at work. And so my career has always been really important to me. I've had to make a lot of compromises and a lot of sacrifices for my career. I have been senior for since I was like 23. I've been on a board, and so the amount of responsibility versus the amount of experience, I've had to grow up really, really quickly. But also with that, I've had a lot of responsibility for a very long time. And so having a child never really kind of fit into kind of that modular way I live my life, or I work through things. And I never really, I don't know what I expected, but I did not expect parenthood to be this. Whatever I expected, it was not this. And kind of just coming back to how the business started, it was sort of a phoenix moment. I am in an incredibly fortunate situation where I know maternity laws, I know parental laws, I know parental rights. And therefore, for me, it was really easy to be able to navigate my way through that situation. And I was really fortunate as well, where I found an incredible lawyer, and I begged and begged and begged her to take my case. And she ended up taking my case, and she said, look, I know you can't afford my rate, so I'm going to give it to a paralegal. She's training, she's up and coming, she's incredible, she's one of the best paralegals I've seen. And she took my case, and they made it work so it was reasonable and I could afford the legal fees. And there's so many drops of honey through my life to be able to get to this point. So that was kind of like my first moment of somebody believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Somebody liked me when I didn't like myself. And somebody was angry on my behalf when I felt like I'd just been kicked in the gut. And I realized that what they gave me, yes, they were doing their job, but what they gave me is they gave me validation and they gave me empathy. And they're invaluable. And so when Exhilarate was born out of an anger and a hatred for employers that rely on people not knowing their maternity and their parental rights and exit people from the business. And so I was very angry, very angry. I felt like, yes, I'm going to change the world with this stuff. And I was really lucky. I went on to Pregnant and Screwed onto their advice line. I took on their Friday line, so any really complex cases would come to me. And I've met some absolutely beautiful souls and beautiful humans through Pregnant and Screwed, and what a charity it is. And I did that for quite some time, and I started to feel validated. I started to feel confident, and alongside that, I was like, right, I'm onto something here. I'm going to do some free masterclasses for people who are pregnant or people that are parents and they don't know what their rights are. How do I deal with unpaid parental leave? All of this stuff. And they started to kind of gather momentum. And I remember Mark saying to me, Amy, you can't keep doing all this stuff for free. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's a bit awkward though, because I never ever want to charge people who were in a position like me, and then have to worry about paying money to somebody like me. And so it kind of came to a point where I was like, right, what am I going to do with the business? And I decided I was going to do it into two kind of pillars. I wanted to do corporate work where I would have a placement for strategy. And then I wanted to do SMEs where I could kind of business partner, be sort of a management consultant, but do sort of that more holistic side of HR in a business that's agile. Corporate. Do you know what? Corporate sucks the love and the joy out of the job that you thought you wanted. And if you're listening to this and you are in a job and you're thinking, I don't know whether I like this that much anymore. Maybe I'm in the wrong job. I really don't think you are. I think you're in the wrong place. And these employers, they are out there that give a shit and they care and they want you to be happy when you're there. They want you to be productive. They want you to feel like you are changing the world and that you're doing a great job. But unfortunately, the majority of workplaces aren't like this. Anyway, so back to having to make money. It was like a switch had flicked on overnight, and I was like, holy shit, I've got to make some money because I can't carry on like this. So I obviously had all of my sort of my free volunteering work, and I went out. I just kind of went out on LinkedIn. I spoke to some people who used to be my old clients from corporate, and said, look, I'm going out on my own. If you've got anything or think that I can help with anything, I'd love to have a chat. And that's really how it started. And it started from, it felt like one day I was earning no money to the next day I was earning, and earning better than my full-time corporate job. And while all this was going on, this kind of happened sort of, I would say Teddy was probably about, I would say 9 months old at this point. And I don't really know how to say this bit. Teddy was 10 months old, and I remember standing outside with Mark, and Mark said to me, there's something that's just not sitting right with me about the way that you are. And we were talking about it, and I agreed, and I was like, I'm just so sad, so sad. And I felt so lonely, and I could be in a room with 100 people and I'd still feel lonely. And it started to really cripple me. And I ended up going to the doctor, and I went through all of my symptoms, and they said, yeah, you've got postnatal depression. And this is going on for quite a long time. How long have you had this for? When was the first time you thought something wasn't right? And I said, actually, our Mark and I, our best friends, they got married when Teddy was 6 weeks old, and we packed up the baby, packed up the dog, went to their wedding. I was a bridesmaid, Mark was a best man. And I remember on the morning of the wedding, I got my hair and makeup done, and I said I'd go out for breakfast to go and get the girls' breakfast from the service station. As you do, you go for breakfast at a service station. I'd like to just caveat this, that I did go to the M&S food hall. I didn't come back with Greggs sausage rolls, because that would be very sus on somebody's wedding day. And I said, yeah, this was the moment. I remember getting to the service station, and I sat in my car, I turned off the engine, and I sobbed. I was sobbing, and I cannot ever explain or articulate how that depression felt. The depression felt like there was a gremlin sitting in my mind, and any kind of feeling of happiness, the gremlin had a hoover, and it would hoover it up and it would be gone. And then I would forget why I was sad, but I know I was sad. So I was just sad. And it's really difficult to explain, because I don't think that once you've had a level of depression, I don't think it ever leaves you, but you know how to recognize it in yourself. You know what makes you happy, so you try and focus on that. And that's really what I want my life to be. I want my life to be focusing on things that make my heart warm, make my align with my values, and makes me proud of how I've spent my life. I would hate for somebody to have a sort of a window in. I think of this as like Scrooge. And I watched the Muppets Christmas Carol for the first time at Christmas, and it made me really think about Scrooge. And he goes on this journey through his life, and how he's a miserable, cantankerous old git. And there's these snapshots of bits in his life, and I think, oh my word, if anybody had a snapshot into my day, I want them to feel the joy that's in my life, and the happiness, and the love. And it's a choice for me. For me, it's a choice. I wake up and I'm going to decide whether I'm happy or not. And so that was also a really defining moment, because I was thinking, this corporate work is not floating my boat. It's not making me happy. It's not making me feel like I've done a job well done. And not long after that, I packed up all of my corporate contracts and focused just on small businesses. But small businesses that gave a shit. It's not rocket science. It's really not. If you care, it shows. And it shows with how people love your business and how they want to do a great job for your business. It is literally the easiest thing to do in your business is making sure that you care about your people. Your people are your biggest asset. They're your biggest investment. Why would you not care about them? Huh, good question. So Exhilarates, I kind of started to gather momentum. I started to meet some bloody amazing people. And that's one thing that coming out of corporate, coming out of an in-house HR seat, it was like I had access to all these people that I'd never had access to before. It was really weird. And I say that in terms of that my decisions and things that I could make were now my own. I didn't have to go through somebody to get authorization to spend this certain amount of money on a bit of training. I could go and volunteer. I could do anything that I wanted to do because I was basically answering to me. And that became such an empowering place to be that if I wanted to take holiday, I could. I just needed to make sure that I backfilled or basically front pipelined any work that I had. And it became just such a natural, easy way of me to work because I love working in modular processes that make sense to me. If I do this, if I go on holiday, I need to make sure that I front loaded this. If I go on holiday, I need to make sure that the pipeline is working from this date forward. And it just became something I never expected it to. What this business has given me is it's given me validation. It's given me a platform to be myself. And it also has, in a really weird way, given me a vulnerability, not only to be myself, but to be liked for who I am, to be liked and disliked for who I am. And I've never had that before in my career because I've always been doing somebody else's bidding, somebody else's decisions. Anything that I did that was good would be somebody else's work. Anything that was crap and a bad decision or just bad news would be HR. And so what has been brilliant about Exhilarate is it has enabled me to become, I feel, my best self and be able to work on myself every day. And if I want to take time out of the business to go and do some therapy or coaching, I don't have to put in half a day's worth of annual leave for it. Like, how amazing is that? And a lot of people say to me now, oh, well, you do these HR videos and, I could never do that. Or says who? Says who? Nobody else is doing it. So if you're not doing it, somebody else will. Like, what are you going to do? Like, and so I've been really fortunate that even with the HR videos, I can do whatever I want. I can talk about whatever I want. I can speak to the people that I want to speak to. And when you're living your life in a place where you're not having to conform or you're not having to be following somebody that you don't respect as a leader, oh, it's so empowering. It's so empowering. And for anyone who knows me, I've got a bit of a problem with authority. So it's probably best for me to be out on my own. But other things that I've learned along the way is always lead with kindness. Kindness is invaluable and there's no price on kindness. I treat people the way that I would like to be treated. And if you meet me with a certain type of energy, you're going to get it back. It's as simple as, and I feel like that's the same with the whole of humankind. I don't care who you are, where you've come from, what you do. We can always be friends. Just be kind. Simple as. And that's why recently I thought I do all of this value and strategy work for businesses and I never have done it for myself. And so when I was thinking about, okay, what do I really want Exhilarate to be in terms of, I don't want it to be hotline, HR hotline, imagine. You call up and somebody will seductively read out a policy to you. That's not a bad idea. I'm gonna write that one down. HR hotline. But anyway, what I kind of came to the decision of is that I wanted Exhilarate to be different. I wanted it to be different from all the other HR consultancies out there, but I also don't want to compete with anyone, because who needs that? No one. So once I decided that I wasn't going to be working with corporates anymore, I then wanted to create a business that was more authentic to the work I wanted to be doing. And so it went into 3 pillars. It went into people strategy, that always aligns with commercial strategy. Employee experience, so the golden thread of an employee journey through your business. And change and transformation. And not transformation and change of redundancies, redeployment, restructuring. No, I mean like proper change. How are you transforming? How are you being innovative? How are you staying ahead of the curve and standing out from the crowd? And this became a real, even that in itself was so empowering, because I could decide exactly what work I wanted to do. And therefore, my values came out from that. And my values are empowerment through people, because why would you not want your people to be shouting from the rooftops about how much they bloody love their job and they love the business? You want them to be proud. You want them to be talking about you and love what you're doing and aligning with your commercial business goals. You want your people to be profitable. My second value then is integrity and authenticity. This has taken, I would say, the 3 years of running Exhilarate to be able to be brave enough to talk about this. Being your whole self and bringing who you are, and not masking or not pretending to be somebody you're not laughing at somebody's joke that you don't find funny. I like those people. Those people are my people. They're people that are actually introverted and they force themselves to be extroverted to be able to talk about their business. They don't mind if they're talking to people and they're in a room full of people they don't know, if it's for their business. But if it's a family gathering and there's some people you don't know, you literally hide in the corner. That is me. Like, hide me. I'll go and play with the kids. I don't even like kids. And then my last one is innovation with purpose. So whatever decisions we're making, whether it be for tech, whether it be for working differently, working smarter, working harder, it's always with a purpose. What are we fixing? What is our solution? And staying really focused on that. And that is one thing actually that I will say, that from my last HR seat in-house, the way that I was managed to stay focused was perfect for me. And I remember having one conversation about, I remember saying something about Glassdoor reviews or something, and something like that. You know, everyone's a hater on Glassdoor. You know, it really annoys me. You've got to sign up with an email address. You've got to do one review just so that you can see what other people have said about other businesses. It's just absolutely heinous and unregulated. It's just so mean on Glassdoor, but I love it. And I remember saying, well, we've got this Glassdoor review and this, and this. And my CEO said to me, just stop. Don't read it. Don't read it. The people who matter, the people who are in the business today. Retaining those people is what's key. People who have left and have written a shitty review, it is what it is. We'll do exit interviews. We've let them down. But what we want to do is we want to focus on the people that are in the business. And what that taught me actually was focusing on what's important. That brings me back to innovation with purpose. Focusing on your problem and getting it fixed is the most important thing you can do for your business, and not getting sidetracked with emails or the noise. Stay focused. And one thing that I've done that I used to do in my corporate job, but I do now, is I split my year up into thirds. Not quarters, Amy? No, not quarters, because quarters are just too quick. 3 months? Nah. 4 months is a perfect amount of time for me, because the first month I'm like, oh, I've got another 3 months, don't worry about it. The next 2 months I start to work on things, and then the last month, the 4th month, I start to panic. So I'm like, holy shit, I've completely ignored this. I need to get this done. And these targets for me are always money driven. So I'll have a profit target, I'll have a sales target, I'll have a lead target, and then my other 2 targets in the third will be something around personal development, and then something about a training course or courses that I'm running, and how I want, maybe I want 5-star review feedback, or I want people to sign up as a client, or I want people to do a power hour. So my targets in the third are always monetary driven because that's tangible. And if I had an objective, like I would like all my clients to like me, and what? Useless. That's a useless target. You're wasting a target. And so what I love about chopping the year up into thirds is that you create an element of focus that I just don't find I get in quarters. But that's also what corporate taught me. Corporate taught me stay focused on the things that matter. What moves the dial? What do your clients want? And you provide what your clients want. And how do you pivot to make sure that whatever you're doing it in the most cost effective way, resource effective, but also making sure that you're bringing people along on the journey. So that's kind of where we're going to go with this podcast, I'm hoping. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about stuff in a light-hearted manner because ain't got no time for being moody. And HR, hustle and hijinks is going to be about people that hustle, people that have made a business with their craft, and you don't have to be a jack of all trades to be able to make money from what you love and what you enjoy. And I wouldn't even say I'm traditional HR anymore. Contracts, yeah, I'll do them. Compliance, yes. I love to get the foundations right first. But what I really love is doing things that empower people, things like career pathways. What do they look like? How can we do mentoring? What does succession planning look like? Who's the staff of the future? This stuff that creates a really solid business. So then when you're thinking about selling your business, because obviously that's the dream, right? You don't start a business just to be working until the day you die. You start a business to exit it. I hope. I hope that you're all thinking, yes, I know how to exit this business. But when you're thinking about exiting, you're thinking, actually, we're good. We're solid. We know who's going to go into this role. We know this. We know our leadership. We know our product. And we know that our knowledge here is solid. And that's all really that I do. Kind of makes it sound really simple. Kind of is. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it. But anyway, that's me. That's Exhilarate. We are going to go along a really cool journey, and I really appreciate you listening. It makes me actually quite emotional to think that somebody would sit and listen to me talk and listen to the people that are coming on and talk. And I hope that you find a little golden nugget that you can use in your day, that you can take forward and you think, yeah, actually, I love that idea. I'm going to use that myself. So please subscribe. That would be great. And if there's anything that you would like for me to touch on in particular, or you would like a particular guest, or you'd like to talk about a certain subject, please let me know. I'm open to every suggestion. Love that. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And from the bottom of my dark little HR heart, thank you so much. And yeah, I cannot say how much I appreciate people for everything that they've done for me over the last 3 years. People have shown me kindness when I've not felt kindness towards myself. People have loved me when I've not loved myself. And the people that I've met in the last 3 years have restored my faith in humanity. And for that, I cannot be more grateful. So thank you so much. Let's go on to the next one and have a great day. Or if you're at the end of your day, have a great sleep. Sleep's great, right? Yeah, we love sleep. Lots of love.